yards. The bombs feel like constant earthquakes. The sound is like the crack of a lightning bolt in your head. Musa brought me and the kids illegally to Syria. I've been living here for almost 2 years. I have no idea where I will end up if you don't help me. So please help me now. We are talking a matter of days, not weeks. I can't tell you enough. I love you. I miss you. I love you. I miss you. I love you. I miss you.
Attached to the video.
Is that your new toy?
Yes, it is. It's my new toy. C4, Cortex, Fuse.
Nice.
A child sits on a living room floor with his legs crossed.
700 of these metal balls, these steel metal balls. 3 kilos of TNT. Dual metal plates.
So, what is missing?
The detonator.
Exactly.
The little boy you can hear is Sam's son, Matthew. He looks nervous, frightened even. To his left you can see a rifle that's laid out on the floor. To his right there's a big TV showing the execution of a fighter pilot by ISIS. And at his feet are the components of a suicide bomb.
Okay, look. Since you've been good and you've been praying on time, choose one.
You can't see the man who's telling Matthew what to do.
The 6-second Russian detonator.
You like it?
It's cool.
You sure?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually the more powerful one. Okay, you have to put it on? Alright, show me.
It hurts watching this. Matthew is only 9 years old. It's hard to process. I've just narrowly survived an ISIS suicide bombing myself. And now, I'm seeing...
What are you going to do to them?
I'm gonna put my belt. I'm gonna hide it under my shirt. I'm gonna walk out and say, "Come save me, come save me. My name is Matthew. I'm American. Come save me, come save me." And as soon as the helicopter comes on the ground, I'm gonna pull my pen.
You have to wait till they get really close, okay?
Yeah, as soon as the helicopter comes down.
Good.
La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar. And I open my... And inshallah God will accept me.
Inshallah. Okay.
To a child. Matthew is the sweetest little boy you'll ever meet. How could they do this?
Matthew and his younger sister are trapped in the ISIS caliphate. They've been there for almost 2 years.
I hate that the kids are there experiencing all of that. They don't deserve that. They don't need to be there. And it makes me so mad that they're there instead of here. Instead of playing in the park and going skating and doing art projects and playing with their friends, playing with my kids. They're at war.
At the end of the email, Sam tells Laurie she's found a man who she says is a people smuggler.
I gave your email to a guy who has helped a lot of foreign women in my situation. He's going to contact you immediately. I trust him with my life and my kids' lives. He knows what he is doing and he thinks now is the perfect time. Please listen to him. He's putting himself in a lot of danger. Please make him feel special so he doesn't give up on me. Thank you, Laurie.
Then, a message arrives.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Forgive me for my English. My English is not good because I didn't learn English in the school. And don't worry. I will help professional.
I'm Not a Monster is written by me, Josh Baker, and Joe Kent. We produced it together with Max Green. It was mixed by Tom Brignall. Lucy Sullivan is our production assistant. Sam Slater is the composer. The editor is Emma Rippon. The full series, including extended episodes, is available to download now on the free BBC Sounds app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's time to hear what you think of the BBC World Service in Over to You. This week, listeners question Moscow correspondent Steve Rosenberg about of Alexei Navalny. And we ask why the BBC has been banned in China and what are the implications for those listening both inside and outside the country. I'm Rajan Datar, and this is Over to You.
Putin is a thief, they chanted. In St. Petersburg.
Hello, Over to You. This is Carol Ross from Nevada in the U.S. An action to get journalists. How do you prepare to cover the demonstrations, knowing the potential?
Detained, they were shouting, freedom to Navalny, down with the Kremlin, and Putin is a thief.
We've had this from Joe Hancock in Montana in the US.
When pondering the dangers of being a journalist at the pro-Navalny protests, I'm reminded of the violence against reporters in the US after George Floyd's murder. The police and an authoritarian state can be so easily compared to the law enforcement in the US.
And on social media,
Russell Grove. As ever, your BBC reporting on this ongoing Navalny situation and its consequences is terrific. Great insight and texture. But take care. Russian events such as this can quickly become very toxic for honest journalists.
Well, I'm joined now by the BBC's Moscow correspondent, Steve Rosenberg. Hello, Steve.
Hello there. Nice to be with you.
Nice to hear from you too. Now, to answer our listener, Carol, how do you prepare to cover the demonstrations, knowing the potential for violence?
Well, if we think there is a potential for violence, then we take with us the necessary gear to protect ourselves as much as possible. So protective headwear, face masks in the event of tear gas being used. We haven't needed those yet. And bright yellow vests with the word press on them. And once we're there on the ground, then we have to assess the situation. We have to work out what's happening, what might be about to happen, agree a meeting up point if we're separated, and always try to make sure that there's an exit route from a dangerous situation.
And tell me, in terms of protesters on the streets, how willing are they to talk to you when you're recording Vox Pops, for example?
People are willing to talk. I mean, the level of fear is not so high. And of course, talking to protesters is so important in helping us form a picture of what actually lies at the root of the protest and why people are taking to the streets.
Yulia, the wife of Alexei Navalny, was among about 4,000 protesters reported to have been detained, most of them in Moscow, as they attempt...
Hello, Over to You. New York. The standard of journalistic objectivity is highly prized and an indication of dedication to get to the truth about events. However, too often the standard of neutrality, or both-sidism, is used as a substitute for objectivity. It's a lot easier to present both sides than it is to be objective about the information each side is presenting. Neutrality is often simply a simplistic measure.
It's a really interesting comment, that. I mean, on the one hand, impartiality is at the heart of everything that BBC News does. It is in our DNA, and we naturally want to present both sides of an argument. But reporting simply that Alexei Navalny says he's being persecuted and the Kremlin says that he's a criminal does not convey, I agree, a full picture of what is happening. And I think I see my job as Moscow correspondent to try to explain to you, the audience, what is going on, what this is all about, and explain what the deal is here, objectively. And objectively, this is about a politician facing trial charges, political by the Kremlin as a threat, as a danger to the system. So it's important, I think, to get that across. So I do take Professor Haebel's point. But having said all of that, I think what is important to point out in our reporting is that Mr. Navalny is not universally liked, that there is a degree of suspicion about him amongst the Russian public. I got that to a city called Tver and was asking lots of people on the street, and I couldn't find many people who actually supported Mr. Navalny. But on the other hand, I found lots of people who were angry with the Kremlin and feeling frustrated. Many of those who have been protesting say Navalny, he has been the trigger for these protests.
Steve Rosenberg and everyone who contributed, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Next, and China has banned BBC World News from broadcasting in the country. Its television and radio regulator announced last week. Television Hong Kong said it would stop relaying BBC World Service programming by the controller of BBC World Service English, Mary Huckaday. Hello, Mary.
Hello, Rajan.
Do we know why these measures have been taken?
Well, the Chinese moves follow a decision in Britain by the independent media regulator Ofcom to withdraw the operating licence of CGTN, which is the Chinese television news station, from basing itself and operating from this country because of irregularities and I think the Chinese moves follow that. And separately, we also know that China has made allegations against the BBC for its coverage of stories such as the plight of the Uyghurs in China and indeed aspects of the pandemic and our coverage of aspects of the origins of the pandemic. We completely reject the Chinese government's allegations that our coverage of those stories has been inaccurate. We report news from, and journalists from many media organisations in the world are restricted in how they can operate in China, and that's again been the case for really quite some time. But
indeed. And if you want your voice heard about any issues that concern you about the World Service, or indeed make any points about any programme you hear, then get in touch. Over to You is your platform. Here's how you do that.
Email overtoyou@bbc.co.uk, or you can tweet at overtoyoubbbc.
And with that, it's time to say goodbye. I'm Rajan Datta, the producer is Howard Shannon, and we'll be back with more of your feedback at the same time.